Hi all, welcome to Mission 919, my channel devoted to stories and information of African achievement, well-being, and prosperity. And today I want to talk about Dr. Luis Herrera Martinez and Dr. Concepcion Campa. These are both Cuban doctors, researchers. The first one, Dr. Luis Herrera Martinez, is credited with being the person who developed a vaccine against dengue fever in the early 1980s during an outbreak, a multi-year outbreak in Cuba of dengue fever. He is subsequently became the director of, I think, the most important biomedical research institution on the island, and that is the Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology. Um, and Doctora Concepcion Campa is credited with being the first person to develop a vaccine against meningitis B, also during an outbreak, an epidemic, a multi-year epidemic of meningitis B on the island in the mid and late 1980s. She is the director or general manager of the Finlay Institute, which is perhaps the oldest medical research institution in Cuba. She is also, well, while she was director, the Finlay Institute came up with both a vaccine for leptospirosis, which is I believe it's a bacterial disease that is passed along to humans from the urine of animals. There was an outbreak after a major hurricane. And also, Dr. Concepcion Campa is also a huge supporter of homeopathy, and the Institute also came up with a homeopathic prophylactic treatment for leptospirosis. So both of these people are at the center of the story of biomedical research in Cuba, which is one of the most astounding and impressive achievements of the Cuban process, the Cuban government, the Cuban revolution, really starting from the 60s, but especially taking off in the late 70s and early 80s. Cuba was right at the forefront of biomedicine, genetic engineering, etc. And they have continued. Well, actually, I misspoke. Dr. Luis Herrera, he did not come up with a vaccine for dengue fever. He came up with something called interferon, which is proteins that aid the immune system. His discovery was interferon Alpha 2B, which has been used against many viral diseases, including malaria, and is now being used against COVID-19, not only in Cuba, but in China and in actually dozens of other countries. It is successful in preventing complications, or in the case of complications already being present, it prevents those complications from becoming more serious. So it prevents people from having to be intubated or go on ventilators or et cetera, et cetera. And so it helps people recover from the disease without undergoing all those serious complications. Many people, or some people at least in this country, know about Cuba's solidarity, sending doctors and nurses and other medical technicians, etc., to many countries around the world. And there's no different in this situation with the pandemic. Cuban medical brigades are at least in 16 countries, as I think that's the right figure at this point. It's probably going up all the time. But their contribution to science and research and actually coming up with effective treatments is not to be overlooked at all. So, in the name of the ancestors and the unborn who are the same, Ashe, 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 and we will see you soon.